Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live Facebook event in conjunction with International Women's Day. Thank you for taking the time to tune in to this event. I'm T.S. Lee, a live member of Family Wellness Club. Today, I'm standing in for the scheduled moderator, Ms. Nabila binti Muhammad Sahih, who is unable to make it due to unforeseen circumstances. We hope that she'll be back with us soon. We'd like to take this opportunity to record our thanks to Ms. Nabila for being part of the team that did the initial groundwork and preparation for this event. Every year, International Women's Day is celebrated on 8 March to bring awareness and to celebrate the achievement of women in different domains. Women has come a long way since a century ago. They have ventured into areas where it was previously male-dominated. However, in undeveloped countries, women are not given equal opportunities to progress and face new challenges. The global theme for this year, International Women's Day, is Choose to Challenge. A challenge word is an alert word. From challenges comes change. So let us all choose to challenge. Family Wellness Club has the pleasure to interview a lady consultant general surgeon, Dr. Sumithra Sivasuntharam, to share on the difficulties she faced in her quest to be a general surgeon, what she does to balance a demanding career with family life, and on her contributions to society. Dr. Sumitra did her secondary education in Singapore, went to UK for her medical studies, graduated from Leeds University in 1994. She did her housemanship in UK before returning to Malaysia in 1995 as a medical officer at Ipoh General Hospital. She passed her surgery exams in year 2000 and worked with Ipoh General Hospital again before moving on to private practice. Let us now welcome Dr. Sumitra to join us today.
Hello.
Hi, Sumitra. Yeah.
Hi, Miss Lee. Good evening,
Nice to
Miss
see you.
Lee.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good evening, Miss Lee, and all tuning in to this virtual event today. First and foremost, I would like to offer my heartfelt thanks to Family Wellness Club, especially Miss Mangles, for having organized this event in conjunction with International Women's Day.
Well, it is good that you have agreed to come in to join us for this interview today.
Well, when I was first approached, I was a bit reluctant and shy. This is the first time I will be sharing my personal journey. I have given many medical talks, but I have never done this before. This is something new. I thought about it, and Miss Mangles persuaded me to share as she said that it may help others achieve their dreams. Thus, I felt it will be good for me to share the challenges and obstacles I face in becoming a female surgeon.
We are really looking forward to hear from you, Dr. Sumitra. Yeah, for a start, when did your interest in surgery arises?
Well, as you know, I studied in University of Leeds, and I did my housemanship in Bradford Royal Infirmary. And during our housemanship, we have to do different disciplines. So in every discipline, I wasn't really sure what I wanted. So every discipline that I did, I was very interested. Be it medical, I wanted to be a physician. When I did pediatrics, I wanted to be a pediatrician. Towards the end, I was posted to a cardiothoracic unit. So I had 3 months of cardiothoracic unit as a house officer. And cardiothoracic unit is a very highly specialized field. And there was only one house officer. And my job was basically to clerk the patients and to take blood. But with my consultant, which is Professor Sabaratnam, he was very, very encouraging. And he used to make me come into the operating theatre towards the end to help him during the surgery. So, for example, if he was operating on a lung cancer, he would actually wait for me, make the nurses call me, and wait for me to come up to assist in the last part of the surgery, or even give me the opportunity to do the last stitching or even to anchor a drain. So he kept telling me, girl, why don't you think about surgery as a profession? But I thought to myself, surgery, me, I mean, something a bit difficult. I was imagining it would be difficult. Number one, being a woman, how am I going to cope with surgery and being a female? Plus, as my friends all know, that I'm a bit short. So I was thinking, my height, will it be a problem as well? Because as surgery is all male domination. So I was worried that, will my height be an issue? Me being a female be an issue? So I wasn't quite sure, but it was something that had already struck my mind that, yes, why not think about surgery?
Your professor must have great trust in you and
I
in
mean,
your potential.
he was a great mentor and teacher.
Dr. Sumitra, when did you return to Malaysia?
I returned in 1995. I decided to return because I've been away from home for so many years. So I thought I better come home and spend time with my parents. So I returned in 1995 and got married the same year.
Where did you work when you first returned?
Okay, when I returned, I was posted to Ipoh General Hospital. My husband was posted to Kota Baru and I was posted to Ipoh GH.
How do you find working in as a lady doctor in Ipoh GH?
Well, when I first reported for duty in Ipoh GH, I was given a choice to join anesthetic department or surgical department. There were two vacancies. And then I thought about Professor Sabah's words, and I thought, no, this is like God sent. Maybe it is something that I need to explore. And I chose to join the surgical department because I wanted to know more about the surgical field and whether it would suit me. So I joined the surgical department at that time under Dr. Sumithra, who was a great mentor. He was very encouraging and he didn't have an issue that there was a lady wanting to do surgery.
Did you face any resistance when you chose to do surgery as a specialty?
I would say not really. I mean, surgery was a male-dominated field at that time, but I guess now there are a lot of female surgeons. But yes, in every career there will be some resistance. So yes, I did face some resistance. Firstly, I remember one of my senior bosses saying, that aren't you a bit vertically challenged for this job? But now looking back, I think no, you can manage. I mean, there are obstacles that you can manage. Secondly, there was one particular senior colleague that I will not forget. Was always picking on me. He loved to pick on me. He would look out for me every day and keep bombarding me with questions and asking me about what I've read, about certain procedures. And if I didn't know how to answer, he would say to me, are you sure you want to be a surgeon? Can you cope with this? Do you know how difficult it is? Do you know that the exams are not easy to pass? You are a lady, and by that time, I've already had my son, my eldest son. So, do you think you can manage? And there was at one point, he even belittled me in a grand ward round. And I went back home in tears and thinking, should I give up? Should I try something easier? But I told myself, not to let this particular person shatter my dreams. The problem I realized was not with me or my capabilities, but was probably he probably had an issue with himself. Plus, at that time, I was very lucky that in the surgical department, there was two other ladies who wanted to pursue surgery. There was Harjit Kaur and Rangama. So the three of us were known as the Three Musketeers, and we used to work together hand in hand and support each other. And all three of us today are surgeons.
Wow, you really stood your ground and is able to turn all those adverse comments into opportunities. Yeah. Dr. Sumitra, how do you manage motherhood with uh, working and studying for to be a surgeon?
Well, I mean, it is a balance. I mean, a lot of women are doing that now. A lot of women are in their careers and they are also mothers, plus working mothers and career women. So everyone has difficulties, but I think we need to learn how to balance between work and motherhood and wifehood and as well as studying. I had my son, my eldest child, in 1997, and I decided to sit for my part one in 1998. So it was a bit difficult, and I had to, we worked long hours. Being in surgical department, you do on calls. In those days, we work 24 hours. The next day, we do not get to go home. We still have to continue the next day till about 5 to 6 p.m. Then I had to come home, look after my son, plus study for my part one. So the way I did it was I used to put him on my lap and read the anatomy textbook, or even put him on the table, give him some paper and crayons, and let him scribble while I start reading my anatomy. And I also learned that, I realized that by teaching someone, you learn better. So I kept reading him anatomy, teaching him anatomy, maybe showing him the bones, teaching him. So it was like a win-win situation. I spent time with him. I also studied, and maybe he also learned a bit of anatomy when he was a baby.
Wow, I'm sure he must have enjoyed your time with you, whatever
Hopefully.
he may have learned, but he enjoyed your presence, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to spend as much time as I could.
Yeah. Do you find that you still need to seek for help um, to manage in your family?
Yes, of course. I mean, all of us need help. It's a bit difficult to say that we don't need help. One of the things I did, I tried to breastfeed my son as long as I could. And those days, like on call, as I was a medical officer, and on call was like very busy. And those days we never had handphones. There was no handphones, and we cannot come home. You can't leave the hospital grounds, especially if you're on active call. So we had those little beepers that they will beep you with the extension number, and you have to run to the nearest phone to answer. So you can't leave home. And I was trying very hard to breastfeed Nahulan till he was more than a year. So I asked my brother for help. My brother at that time was a bachelor working also in hospital Ipoh. So I used to ask him, I used to pump my breast milk. And those days we didn't have those Changi pumps that we have now. I used to have the manual pump or the little battery operated pump. And I used to pump my breast milk, and I didn't want to leave it in the hospital fridge. So I used to give him an SOS phone call and say, "Can you please come and pick it up?" And he was like, "Oh my God, I mean, do I have to come all the way just to pick up this milk?" But I mean, that's how you ask for help.
He was a bachelor, right?
Yeah, he was a bachelor
He
at
was
that
probably
time.
the first breast milk delivery service, offering the first breast milk delivery service with you as a supplier. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your studies progressing then?
Okay. So studies, of course, I was moving forward. And as you know, studying for such any exams is not easy, especially if you're a working person. So my parents at that time were in Bukit Matajam, and they used to come down every weekend to visit me and spend time with me and my son. My husband, if you remember, is still in Kota Baru. So I was alone here with my son. So my mother, she saw the way I was studying and trying to juggle my work as well as trying to study. So she told me, look, why don't you just concentrate on studying, and why don't you let me look after Nahulan for you, and so that you can concentrate. My father was like, pursue your dreams. Like we will be behind you, we will support you all the way. So he was like my pillar of strength. I knew that he would be there for me at any cost. So after discussing with my husband, because we knew that it was not going to be easy, so we decided that okay, let Nahulan go to Bukit Matajam with my parents, because I mean, as all women know, who else will look after your child better than your own mother? So I would rather send my son to BN than keep him here and be looked after by babysitters or maid. So I took that difficult decision and let Nahulan go with my parents to Bukit Matajam so that I can concentrate here, work and study for my part one.
So how you manage with your son in Bukit Matajam, your husband in Kota Baru?
Yeah,
How do your
it was not easy, and as I said, those days we didn't have Facebook or we didn't have WhatsApp, or I think even handphones was one of those big handphones. So I don't think I had a handphone for a very long time. So it was not easy. I missed my son a lot. I mean, weekends, yes, when I was not on phone, my parents would come down. But weekdays, the days that I really missed him, I would actually drive all the way to Bukit Matajam from work, leave work around 5:36, drive all the way to Bukit Matajam so that I can just spend a few hours with him, cuddle him up, play with him, sleep with him, and then the next morning I would leave at 5 a.m. to be back at work at 7 because we started work at 7:30. So I would drive up and down like a mad person.
wow, you really have a lot of energy.
Well, with love, there's always the energy comes naturally. It is not a chore at all. I didn't find it a burden at all.
I'm so glad that you have such supportive parents as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Dr. Sumitra, how did you prepare for your part two exams?
Okay, so I did my part one in 1998. Then you have to do a series of rotations before you can sit for your part two. So I was doing that in Ipoh Hospital. Then I wanted to pass my part two at first attempt because I really wanted to do that because as you see, my son was in BM, my husband is in Kota Baru, I'm here alone. So I thought to myself, I need to get these exams, I need to pass them soon so that we can bring all of us back together. So after discussing with my boss, Dr. Panda at that time, I took some time off work because FICS Part 2 is not an easy exam to pass. It's very challenging. So I took some time off work. I went off to UK. I rented a room in Edinburgh so that I could attend some of the courses they were holding for Part 2 exams. And I attended the courses that was held in the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh, plus used their library. So at least, I would have first-hand experience. That's how I started my part two. I mean, preparing for my part two.
So how do you find your stay in Edinburgh then?
Of course, I mean, I studied in Leeds, so I was familiar with the UK. Being in UK was not an issue, but the stress, I was really stressed because this is your part two. I added more stress on myself because I wanted to get it first shot. And I was lonely. I was missing my son badly. I was missing my family. I was depressed and very, very stressed. I used to look out for phone booths to call my son, and there was this time difference. So I would look out for a phone booth that was near to call him. And then, he was only 3 years old. So I don't think he was interested in hearing my voice. But for me to hear his voice, he just say hello, and just to hear him speak to me was enough to give me the energy to get on to the next day. So that is how I managed it. But it was a difficult, stressful time.
You use a public phone booth then?
Yeah, because we didn't have WhatsApp or FaceTime those days, and I didn't have a handphone with me in the UK, so the only way of communication was a public phone booth. So as it was a very stressful time, I think I also used to call my husband and like one or two times maybe broken down. So he felt distress in me, and just before the exam, he landed at my doorstep. He surprised me in Edinburgh. So that was a pleasant surprise.
You didn't know that he was coming at all?
No, I didn't. So I didn't know at all. I was too busy studying.
So, Dr. Sumitra, you passed on your first attempt?
Yes, I did. Thankfully, I passed at my first attempt. So that was a great relief.
So, did you celebrate after that?
It was a relief for both of us. I mean, I think my husband also, although he didn't actually sit for the exam, but he was going through the stress because he used to accompany me. You see, part two, you have different parts. You have the written part, you have the oral part, and you have the clinical part. So he used to follow me to every exam and wait outside, wait for me to come. And it took a few hours before you finish your turn and before you be let out. So I think he was going through that stress as well. So both of us were very relieved that we had finished and that I had passed. So we just wanted to come home and be with my son. I mean, Nahulin was here in Malaysia. So what more to be together as a family? So we just came back immediately.
So you didn't go for your second honeymoon in nearby?
The honeymoon was in Malaysia with my son.
Okay. So when you come back to Malaysia, where do you start working?
I was posted back to Hospital Ipoh as a surgeon. So I started back in Hospital Ipoh, and I worked here. Plus, I also brought back my son from BM and enrolled him in the kindergarten here. And luckily, my husband managed to get a transfer to Hospital Ipoh as well.
So the family is back together again.
Yes,
God,
yes,
that's good. Yeah.
yes. After 3 years.
So after 3 years, huh? So how do you find working in Hospital Ipoh as a lady surgeon then?
I mean, I think there was not much of a difference between a lady surgeon or a male surgeon at that time. I mean, of course, as a specialist, as a surgeon, we had additional responsibilities. We were busy training house officers, medical officers. Plus, I had to run clinics. In that time, we were running clinics in Sungai Siput. We even had an operating day in Sungai Siput where we used to do small cases. I used to run clinics in Tapa. I used to go to Kuala Kangsar once a week to run clinics there. Plus, we from surgeons from Ipoh had to cover the surgeons in district hospitals like Mundong and Telok Intan. So these were the additional responsibilities that I had.
So you have want to share any unforgettable experiences as a
Um,
ladies?
well, unforgettable experiences. Yes, I remember one time in Telok Intan where Telok Intan it was a busy hospital, and I was on call. I mean, I was the only surgeon there because I was covering the surgeon that was on leave, and they brought in a pregnant mother with a gunshot wound. I mean, someone shot her, and the gunshot was through her abdomen, and she was in a very critical condition, and she was brought into the emergency department. I didn't have time to take her into, I didn't have time to transfer her to hospital Ipoh. So I had to take her into the operating theatre immediately because she was bleeding. And with the help of the gynecologist at that time, because she was pregnant and then fetus and the gunshot wound, there was so much of blood. But unfortunately, we spent the whole night trying to save her. But unfortunately, we lost both mother and child. So that was something that I will not forget. There was another time where I was fully pregnant with my daughter, Dania, and that time, surgical surgery on call is very, very busy, especially in hospital Ipoh because we are a center of referral. So we used to have lots of emergencies, and there was one time when I was on call and there were lots of emergencies, and I think I was about 8 months pregnant with Dania, and I had to do a laparotomy, which means open up a man's abdomen because he had a perforated intestine, and there was just blood and feces everywhere, and me standing on a stool and trying to operate on this man, and my whole tummy was inside this man's belly as well, and then I was covered with blood and feces, and I was thinking, my child is inside, but I think all surgeons face that. So these are the things that still in my mind of how I went through, what I went through. But I enjoyed my work. I didn't find it a burden or a chore.
Wow, you were just those are must be quite harrowing times. Yeah, Dr. Sumitra,
Okay.
as a lady surgeon in Ipoh General Hospital, did you ask for or receive any preferential treatment to discharge your duties?
Um, I mean, most of my colleagues at that time were very supportive. So I didn't need to ask for any preferential treatment, and I didn't want to have any preferential treatment. I was happy to do my work. I loved my job. I was happy to be on call. I didn't want my calls to be taken away from me. I didn't want my duties to be lightened. I was enjoying it. So I didn't ask for any preferential treatment. And at that time, working in surgical department, we had a very good team and everybody was very supportive and we worked as a team together, so I didn't need any preferential treatment. I didn't have to ask for any.
Wow, it is good to hear that you love your work and you have so much
I had,
passion,
I had good
discipline.
I had good
Yeah,
support and good teamwork.
yes. Dr. Sumitra, when were you confirmed in government service then?
Okay, that is a long another story. As you know, I didn't do. I studied in Singapore, so I did O levels. I didn't have SPM. So when I came back, I was actually a contract officer. So I was a contract medical officer, and when I became a specialist, I was still under contract. So then the only reason that I mean the only way that I could be confirmed in service is if I had an SPM Bahasa. And SPM Bahasa is not easy to sit for. And my last time I opened any Bahasa book was when I was 11 years old in Standard 5. So you can you
Wow.
imagine?
Yes.
So
How
you
many
can,
years have you?
yeah, exactly. And SPM BM is not an easy paper, but no choice. I mean, I thought I'd finished with all the exams. I thought, okay, I'm done. No more exams. Let's carry. Let's be happy and move on. Then suddenly someone says, no, you don't have your SPM. You cannot be confirmed in service. So then I thought, okay, no choice, because if I don't get confirmed in service, my salary was still at the basic medical officer uh, scale. So I needed to move up. So the only way was to sit for
What
SPM.
was the
And
pay differential then? What was the
I
pay
mean, I
differential?
mean, it's quite a bit. I would say a few thousand. So I mean, you need. I mean, I can't go on with the same medical officers. I wasn't getting any specialist allowance and stuff because I was still a contract officer. So therefore, I decided to sit for my SPM, and not easy. So I looked for a tuition teacher, and I couldn't join a class. I mean, I couldn't go to a tuition center because I would be way behind the students there. So I asked for a teacher to come in and come to my house so that I could study for my SPM. And this teacher was a very nice lady. She came home and she used to give me karangans. She used to encourage me to write poems and stuff. And I remember my son would be cycling around the dining table while we were studying. But finally, I managed to sit for my SPM. I sat for it in 2001, and at that time, I was pregnant with Danya, my second child, and I went to sit for the paper in July paper, the July, the receipts we
Yes.
at that time. So I
Yes.
sat for
Yeah.
the July paper, and I went to Tarsisian Convent, and I was very pregnant at that time, and I was asked to sit at the back of the class, and everybody was looking and turning and whispering about me. I think probably looking at me at this unwed mother coming in to sit to resit. So it was. I mean, I
Who
enjoyed
is
the
this young
attention.
teenager?
Yeah, so I
Yeah. So how
enjoyed the
was your
attention.
oral paper?
The oral paper was also quite good because the examiners were interested in my pregnancy, and we were discussing about my pregnancy and my delivery. So in that way, I'm thankfully I passed my SPM.
It was very, very good that you cleared after all these years of not using Bahasa Malaysia in your years in Singapore, in UK, and now you have to go back and relearn
Well, I just
the
I
thing.
just passed.
Yes, it's very, very good for you. Yeah. After passing your SPM, how long did it take for you to be confirmed in service?
Yeah, so that is another thing. After passing it, although we sent in the paperwork, but they were taking a very long time. I kept going up and down to Putrajaya, trying to get my paperwork done, but every time I was told, wait, wait, wait. And then, as you know, with any promotion or confirmation, I usually meant a transfer to another city or state. So therefore, it was a difficult time, but I mean, I got my letter, I think around 2004. And there was like a hint to say that you may have to go to Slim River.
So, did you take up the transfer?
Well, that's the thing. You see, at that time, I've already had three children. My eldest was 7 years old. My daughter was 3, and my youngest son, Kishan, was only a few months old. So I was thinking, how am I going to go to Slim River with three small children? And by that time, my husband had already started his clinic. So how am I going to manage three children alone in Slim River? Or do I leave them here in Ipoh and I go to Slim River? But I thought, with surgery, you can't drive up and down daily. I can't, leave operate on someone and leave Slim River and drive and sleep peacefully in Ipoh. So I knew that I cannot leave Slim River. And what if I take my children there, and what if I have a busy day? Who's going to be with them? And Nahulan had already started school in Cater Avenue. So how am I going to juggle that? So that's when my husband and I sat down seriously and discussed. And that's how I decided that maybe I need to look at other options.
So that's when you decided to explore private sector.
Yes, I was very worried actually about, to be truthful, I was very worried about joining the private sector. As you know, general surgery was a male-dominated field at that time. So most of the private surgeons at that time were all men. And I was wondering, how am I going to penetrate into this private life? So will I be able to manage? Will I be able to cope? And I was having a great time in SOPD Hospital Ipoh, and it was sad for me to leave. But and then had to weigh the pros and the cons of family and work. I needed to find a balance. So I went to see Mr. Das, who was my boss at that, previous boss in Hospital Ipoh, who was in private practice then. He was in Pantai Hospital Ipoh. And I went to see him and asked his advice, and he was so full of encouragement. And he gave me the confidence to join private practice. So that's when I decided to join Hospital Pantai Ipoh in 2005.
So by doing so, you are actually the first lady general surgeon going into private practice in Ipoh.
At
Wow.
that time, yes.
Very brave of you. Yes. Okay. Um, how did your children feel about your work as a surgeon?
My kids, well, they were very supportive and very understanding. From very young age, my kids are used to seeing me running here, running there, busy all the time, or never sitting in one place. They're so used to me in and out, 1 minute here, 1 minute not there. So they were
You
very
see her.
supportive, and very encouraging. Um, but of course, I also wanted to spend as much time with them. So being in private practice gave me an advantage. Um, Flexible hours. I didn't have to run to work at 7 in the morning, so I had more time at home. I had the privilege of taking my son to school. Both my boys were in Cater Avenue, so I had the privilege of taking them to school in the morning. And I found that that time with them in the car was very precious. We could spend our time talking about and planning the day, or discussing what had happened the day before. So it was nice. And I used to be one of those parents that, park the car and walk the kid to the gate of the school and wave goodbye. So I had that privilege. My daughter was in the afternoon school, so I couldn't do that for her because, 12 o'clock, it's a busy time for the work. But in the evening at 6, I would pick her up as well, and she would chatter away in the car. So it was nice spending time that way with them. And I also had time with them at home in the evenings. I would do sit down and do homework with them, supervise their schoolwork, make sure that they go for their tuition, or take them for tuition. So sometimes they would be happy when this hospital would ring me and ask me to go back to a casualty or ward, something I'd forgotten in the ward, because they'll say, yes, she's gone, let's go back to TV or toys. So they were happy to see me go off also. So it was I mean, they were very supportive. They were always there for me.
Wow, it's very encouraging to find that you still try to make time for them and to spend time bonding with your children. Yes. So actually being in private sector is a blessing in disguise for you in that
Yes,
sense?
I think so. I mean, I have more time.
Yeah. Do you cook?
Well, I would love to cook. Um, my mom is a great cook, so I mean, cooking is not really my forte. So, but if when I do attempt at my cooking, it's always rushing here, rushing there. So time is a luxury, but I tend to rush. So my friends would tell me, my friends can always tell different stories about how I would rush in the kitchen and forget to put this ingredient or that ingredient. But I try, especially Deepavali time. I would want to try to make my muruku. and the murukku won't be of the same shape. All the murukkus won't be the same shape, but at least I've attempted because I'm always
Wow.
rushing.
Oh, but those dishes are made with tender, loving care. Yes. Yeah. By the way, Dr. Sumitra, just now you mentioned that you love working at Ipoh General Hospital with such a good team around. If you are able to be confirmed in government service and still remain at Ipoh General Hospital, would you have left for the private sector?
Um, I think I was enjoying working in Hospital Ipoh mainly because of the team. The teamwork was good. We had a good team. Most of the people that I worked with have left and gone to different hospitals now. But at that time, we
Mm.
had a good team because in private, you're all alone. So by
Oh.
working in Hospital Ipoh, you had like a team effort and you had interesting cases. So it was
Mm.
yes, if I had confirmation in service and I could remain in Hospital Ipoh, yes, I would have stayed back.
Yeah. Wow. Dr. Sumitra, we understand that you co-founded Persatuan Pink Champion Perak in year 2005. Can you explain what is Persatuan Pink Champion Perak for
Okay, Persatuan
and how
Pink
did it
Champion
come about?
Persatuan Pink Champion Perak is actually a breast cancer support group. My interest in breast cancer started way, way before when I was a medical student. I lost an aunt to breast cancer, and I remember accompanying her for chemotherapy. And I used to take her for her chemotherapy in Hospital KL and sit with her while she had her chemo and watch the other women. And I told myself I must do something for breast cancer patients. So after becoming a surgeon, I used to run the breast clinic on Mondays in SOPD, and it was a very busy clinic. So you imagine we started clinic after our morning rounds at 9 o'clock, and we have to finish by lunchtime 1 o'clock, and we would see about 50 to 60 or even more patients. And of course, not everybody had breast cancer there, but we had a lot of breast cancer patients, and it was very difficult to tell a woman in a matter of minutes, look, you have breast cancer, you need to come for surgery, you're going to lose your breast, you need chemotherapy, you need radiotherapy. I mean, the woman will be in shock. So I wanted something more. I couldn't do this in a couple of minutes. I need to spend more time with this patient. I needed to explain to them about their journey. I wanted every woman to know what they're going to go through, and I wanted them to understand. So I asked my boss, can I have his permission to run a clinic in the afternoon? Not really a clinic, like a sharing session in the afternoon after the clinic in the morning. We collect these newly diagnosed patients and we would meet them at the back of the SOPD where we had like a sharing session. I would explain to them about their disease and tell them what would happen, what was going to happen to them. And at the same time, I met Puan Mardiana. Puan Mardiana is a breast cancer survivor. She had her surgery many years ago, and when she was diagnosed with breast cancer and when she had surgery, she felt very alone. She didn't have the support she wanted in Ipoh. She needed to turn to KL. She went to BCWA, Breast Cancer Welfare Association, which is another support group in KL, for help. So she wanted to start something in Ipoh because she felt that she wanted to give back to the society. She wanted to help women and can explain what she had gone through. So both of us got together and we started this group. So when I left Ipoh General Hospital and came to Pantai, she followed me, and we used to have sharing session every second Saturday of the month. And the CEO of Pantai Hospital at that time was very kind and let me use the conference room for free, and we used to meet every second Saturday, and we had interesting sessions. We used to sit in circles and express our feelings. The new patients would get to know the old patients, and they would learn from the journey of the old patients. I would also make it interesting by having uh, like cooking classes, healthy diet, what are the things you can cook, even nail polishing, because when you go for chemotherapy, your nails become black. So nail art. I had a scarf, how to, we lose hair when we have chemo, so how to tie your scarf differently. I even had laughter therapy. I had yoga. I had Zumba classes, and we had potlucks as well during Hari Raya, Deepavali, Chinese New Year. We had Losang. I'm happy to say that now we have a big group of us, and we are a family. And strangers have now become friends, and they can organize meetings, and we still meet up. But unfortunately, because of the COVID, we have stopped these sharing sessions. And if patients need counseling now, I actually give telephone numbers of the survivors so that they can call them up. This Persatuan Pink Champion is run by breast cancer survivors. So all of them are survivors. So we have their telephone numbers, we have a WhatsApp group. So new patients now will be introduced. We have a
So,
center.
mm.
Sorry, you were
so
saying?
if anyone is interested, I mean, any breast cancer survivor is interested, is open for them to join
Yes,
this.
of course. Anybody in Perak, if you have breast cancer and you want more information, you can come to the breast cancer center. We have a center, Pink Champion. It's situated on the fourth floor in Hospital Pantai. We used to have volunteers. They will be there from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Two ladies, they are all volunteers from our group, but unfortunately, because of the COVID, I have told them not to come, but we can do this over the phone. And now, look, we are speaking. I'm at home and you are at your home. So we can have this Zoom counseling, I think. We
Wow.
have to move towards that now.
Yeah, it's really good because this will enhance their uh, self-esteem, when they
Yes, I
connect
think
with
it's
each other.
yes, I think it's very important for the new cancer patients to meet up, because when you say cancer, they feel it's like a death sentence, but it's not. So
Mhm.
when they meet
Okay.
survivors, they'll feel more confident, and they are encouraged to proceed with treatment.
So you do take time to personally talk to some of them.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely. I spend a lot of time with them.
okay. Yeah, it's very good to know that there is this support group available under your where you are the advisor and you are personally involved in the activities. Yeah. Dr. Sumitra,
I'm a general surgeon, so
besides breast cancer,
I I'm a general surgeon, so I do other surgeries as well, thyroids, appendix. Um, I do scopes, I do gallbladder surgery. So I'm a general surgeon.
okay. Yeah. So it's good to hear from you, Dr. Sumitra. Um, you have gone on a remarkable journey to be a lady general surgeon, to balance your career with the family, and also choose to challenge all the difficulties that stand in the way. You are able to turn uh, adversities into opportunities and move forward, especially in your exams, in your SPM exams, in your confirmation of service, and in going to private sector and in setting up this Pink Champion Society. Being a lady, Dr. Sumitra did not ask or receive any special treatment in her work as a ladies general surgeon, even at times when she was heavily pregnant. She worked hard and has a passion for what she is doing. She did her fair share of work allocation as a general surgeon in Ipoh General Hospital. At that time, and now it is known as Hospital Raja Permaisuri Bainun, even though she was not confirmed in government service and was on a contract medical officer pay. She is thankful for her supportive superiors, mentors, and families. Importantly, she did not pay much attention to detractors or people who belittle her capability. Today, after all these achievements, she still managed to take good care of her family and remains a hardworking, quiet, unassuming, and humble lady surgeon. Dr. Sumitra, can I ask if there are people who are passionate about doing something or achieving something, but is fearful of taking up the challenge? What tips would you give? What advice can you give?
Firstly, you must have real passion and drive for what you want to do. Without the passion, you will not be able to deal with the obstacles that come your way. So if you feel strongly about something, just go for it. Just go for it and overcome whatever challenges that come. When there is passion, there is no effort. So don't be afraid. Don't think that, oh, I can't. Will I be able to do it? Just do it, and it will happen. I was blessed. I mean, I was lucky. I was blessed to have great mentors who believed in me and who encouraged me. Also, all this is not possible without the support from parents, family, and friends. As we would say in Tamil, Mada Pida Guru Devam, which means that you pay your respects to your mother, father, teacher, and God. So without any one of them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am here today. After almost 26 years in Ipoh, I have made great friends who have also helped me and supported me in my journey. They were there throughout and they are still there today. So I thank each and every one, my mentors, my teachers, my family, and my friends for being there for me. So whoever's listening, please don't be shy to ask help. Don't be afraid to go on your journey. If you really want to do something, just do it and it will happen.
Yeah, thank you for those advices. It is so timely, and we have seen that you have applied all into your journey to be a surgeon, to be a caring mother and wife, and also in your private practice to patients, and also in your Pink Champion support group. Thank you, Dr. Sumitra, for taking time to share your journey with us this evening. We hope that everyone will have a better insight on the importance of choosing to challenge the obstacles in life, as Dr. Sumitra has done, to move forward to work towards what we want to achieve. As was told to Dr. Sumitra and now to us, never give up. And to all those who will be celebrating International Women's Day, which falls on 8th of March every year, which is tomorrow, happy International Day. So thank you to everyone for tuning in and taking this time. Thank you. Have a good evening. And thank you to Dr. Sumitra for sharing this precious time with
Yes,
us.
thank you, Family Wellness Club, for giving me this opportunity to share my journey. Thank you very much to everyone who's listening. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Good weekend.
Bye.